I know it might be a weird comparison, but I'm thinking of a boy who was walking out on the ice. We were at Rocky Lake. I was there with my dad, and he was there with, well, we were there, my dad, my sister, and a couple of kids named Ronnie and Tammy. And I grew up with them. They were the kids of my dad's close friend at the time. And Ronnie kept walking out on the ice. Now, that story has a funny ending, sort of, at that moment. Pretty funny. Overall, it has a very, very tragic ending. So, of course, this reminds me of the Secret Service. Well, and government as a whole. I'll explain that. Today is a day the Lord has made, and these are the times through which God has decided we shall live. And in times such as these, sometimes stories super helpful. I said it, explain it. So Ronnie and us up at Rocky Lake were on the edge of the lake, and there was just ice, but not super thick ice. And Ronnie decided to walk out on it. Now, my dad was a social worker. He was very gentle around kids. He deeply loved kids, and he loved these two kids, Ronnie and Tammy. Tammy would call my dad Grandpa, or Uncle Terry. And when Ronnie was out on the ice, my dad said to him very calmly, Ronnie, come in. And he didn't want to come in. No, come in off the ice. You're going to fall in. That's not thick ice. You're going to fall in. That's cracking. You're going to fall in. And Ronnie wouldn't come in. My dad was patient. He never raised his voice, but said, Ronnie, come in. Ronnie didn't come in. The ice cracked, and he fell into an icy lake. And he began to scream for his life, splashing about. And then my dad said, calmly, Ronnie, stand up. Ronnie, stand up. Ronnie, stand up. And eventually Ronnie stood up. He was cold and freezing and scared. And so my dad lit a fire, had him take off the wet clothes, wrapped him up in my dad's hunting jacket, and Ronnie got good and warm and was nice and safe. But my dad saw it coming. Ronnie would later go on and do something very tragic, or something very tragic was done to him. This is what got me thinking today about the Secret Service. Apparently, the Secret Service director, the disgraced former director, Kimberly Chattel, she did not want the cocaine owner known. This in the White House. Remember the cocaine that was found that we all thought was Hunter Biden's? It might well have been Joe Biden's, although I think they give him his drugs intravenously, and it probably stopped now that he's no longer going out and having to act alert during debates. By the way, do you think they tanked him in that debate? I think they did. I think they tanked him by not giving him his meds. I think they wanted him out, and they got him out. So she did not want that cocaine found, so she tried to tank that investigation. She's the same person, of course, who apparently didn't want the recording of the comms going on when President Trump was shot. And now we're being told, of course, he wasn't really so much shot, but maybe it was shrapnel. But it's this meme. It's this meme that someone said on Twitter. They literally did this meme that reminded me of Ronnie. It reminded me of exactly what we all saw was going to happen. You are going to fall into that lake. We all saw where Ronnie was headed as a person as well, and very few of us, none of us could actually do anything to stop it. Can you see where the Secret Service is headed? I'll play this meme for you in a second. We, in our lives, can clear our own air, right? It's not emotional, not philosophical. It's just very, very simple. Sometimes there's stinky stuff, particularly if you're a college student headed off to a dorm. If you're a college student and you listen to this or watch this, you don't have to go live in a stinky dorm room. You don't have to go live in a stinky room in your sorority or fraternity, because sometimes young people just don't put a big focus on hygiene. We know this, particularly young men. Likewise, in your home. You may have cats and dogs that can just frankly stink the place up. Maybe you smoke. Please stop smoking. It's probably killing you. Please stop. And if you feel that you can't right now, then you can also clear the air and do it in a very elegant way and get it started in about 3 minutes. It's the Eden Pure OxyLeaf 2 device. Take it out of the box, plug it into the wall. Within 3 minutes, your home or your dorm or your sorority room or your truck or your RV will begin to smell like the after effects of a thunderstorm. You know that great smell? That's ozone. That's what the Oxyleaf 2 Thunderstorm device produces. It produces O3 in your room. Now, here's the magic of these molecules. They bond to the bad-smelling molecules, and they destroy them. They change their chemical compound. They're destroyed. This even works with viruses. And what you get instead of the stink of cat litter is you get the smell of a thunderstorm. You can get an incredible savings right now. In fact, you can buy one and get one. Buy one, get one free, or BOGO. As the young people say, I didn't know what that meant. It was, what's that other one? Fear of missing out. Don't FOMO your go-go. Wait, don't FOMO your BOGO? Is that the way it goes? Go to EdenPureDeals.com, enter code ToddBOGO. That's EdenPureDeals.com, enter code ToddBOGO to buy one, get one, and breathe a breath of fresh air again. The Secret Service went and did a meme. It's not The Simpsons, but it predicted almost precisely what we watched. And it reminds me of how Ronnie fulfilled a horrible, terrible, scary prophecy.
Boss, as the building being checked... Which building? The only building in front of the stage. Ah, that building. Maybe. Maybe not. How maybe not? You think it's necessary? I see a guy moving on the roof. Ah, the usual guys. Boss is very suspicious. He might be doing a parkour. He's lie down flat on his stomach. He's probably resting after doing parkour. He's looking towards Trump. Maybe the Trump fan tried to get a better view of him. Okay, he's pulled out a rifle. A rifle. Definitely a rifle. Can you tell if it's a real rifle? How I know if it's real? Maybe it's fake, and we are worrying for nothing. It's a real rifle. Very strange. Boss, awaiting your orders. Do you see any clay pigeon shooting devices? I don't think he's practicing shooting clay pigeons. We need to be sure, Frank. Boss, now he's aiming towards Trump. Can you see his expression? What expression? His facial expression. He seems to be mad. I don't know, boss. Or is he looking at him admirably? I can't tell. Maybe it's just using the rifle scope to get a better look. Boss, if we don't act now, he will shoot him. Stay calm, Frank. I don't think. He's shooting, boss. Holy cow. He's still shooting. What do I do? Are you sure you don't see any clay pigeons around? No clay pigeons. All right, in that case, fire a warning shot immediately. We couldn't have known, Frank. We did everything we could. Some things are just unpredictable. An attack on a presidential candidate and a guy shooting. This is not the US I know.
It comes from In Animation. There's a link in the show notes. Yeah, it's not funny. Corey Carpentore lost his life. Another gentleman is fighting for his life. What's funny is this. That's what happened. I mean, it's not exactly, there wasn't that conversation, but in fact, the shooter was visibly walking across the rooftop, his head bouncing up and down. The building 2 minutes before that guy opened fire was surrounded by cops with their guns drawn. He was on campus an hour ahead of time. He was using a rangefinder, pointing it at the stage, a clear intent to shoot the person on the stage. Ronnie stood out on the ice. My dad said, you're going to fall in. Later, Ronnie would do a bunch of things, very risky things, like leaving his home. And there were some reasons for that, and I don't blame Ronnie, not for a second. He would get into some risky behaviors like drinking and smoking and taking drugs, and we would see him occasionally on the streets, and the pattern was very, very clear. The Secret Service can never be trusted again. The Secret Service should not be guarding President Trump now. It should be private security that the taxpayers pay for, private security that's actually going to be paid to protect President Trump. The Secret Service, like so many other government agencies, has shown themselves to be a mix of incompetence and nefariousness. Nefariousness, yes, this. If you think it would be difficult to find an agent or two or three or five to allow that guy access to the rooftop and access to pointing his weapon at President Trump, just remember they found agents that would let people walk into the Capitol. They found agents who would chit-chat with folks as they were headed into the Capitol. They found agents who would cut open legal fences to the United States of America. They have found agents who will help secret illegal immigrants around our country, all across our country, not even telling the states of origin. They found agents to do that. They found agents to set up a fake kidnapping in Michigan. They found agents to do that. They couldn't find an agent to stand aside or to wait a while until they fire a shot. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just incompetence. but the Secret Service can never be trusted again. Ultimately, I remember being in the class of my very favorite teacher, a guy called the Monsignor. It was a social studies type class. It was current events. In that current events class, it was my job to present. Every class, it was my job to present. I presented something called What's Your Beef? And I had to prep for that. Mr. Trainer wanted me, there's a long story to this, but he wanted me to stand in front of the class and state my beef. Kind of like a David Letterman thing. At the time, I was really into Letterman type humor. So I was prepping for that. And I opened the Spokesman Review. There was a picture of my friend Ronnie, who either jumped or was pushed off of a bridge into the Spokane River. I believe it was the Washington Street Bridge. That's certain death. Ronnie died. His sister later told me there's no chance that he committed suicide. She thought he was murdered. What I know is this. People went into that bridge to take heroin and to drink and to do other things. I'd been in that bridge. Never taken heroin, never drank in that bridge. It was far too dangerous. But my dear friend Matthew and I used to climb up into the arch of that bridge just for the view. Sometimes we'd take our guitars up there and play Pink Floyd songs. I met a lot of homeless people up there. I watched them sit on the edge of that bridge. And I knew one of them was going to fall. The Secret Service and many other government agencies are showing us the same behavior. They have no awareness of how clear it is to us that in many ways, the agencies, not all the people there, because many people there are good with God, all the agencies, to some degree, have fallen. Thank you, God, for warning us about times like these. This is the Todd Herman Show. Please go be well, be strong, be kind, and please make every effort to walk in the light of Christ.